Hey everyone. It's kind of gloomy today, so I was like, do I need an extra light? But I think it's fine. If it's too dark, let me know. Let me spotlight. But hello, welcome everyone. I hope you all had a great weekend. Hello, hello, hello. Oh man. Uh I have been working so much. I'm like half asleep. But I wanted to actually show you guys what I've been working on with HWB. Um, so I there's like a little unveiling of what I've been working on with them. So I'll show you. Man, it's cool to see it, you know, finally happening. But oh my gosh, it has been that's what's been keeping a lot of my attention these last couple months. So I'm happy that it's out. I'm migrating, well, like Brian and I were migrating the site over, so um I have to wait for like the front end to stop saying, to get like the permissions and stuff. So but yeah, I'll I'll show everyone just so that you see what in the world I'm talking about. Um 1 second. I'll share my screen. But yeah, let me know your thoughts. I'd love feedback. Um, so definitely let me know. Um, Let me see here. So as you can see, it says not secure. So it's because it's still transferring over from the old site. Well, this is the front end site. Um, this is what I was working on was the front end, um, getting all this done. But the biggest thing is the back end. So So yeah, I'll just quickly show you that, and then I'm here for any questions. Um, yeah, I was literally working through the entire weekend, so I'm like zoned out. I was hoping I'd get more sleep last night, but didn't didn't turn out that way. All right, so just to show you everyone what I've been doing. Because it's very plant related. But this is what I've been working on. I created this hub. Um, so it's the members hub for HWB. Um, there is a financial need option. I think we have our individual level membership, which is at like 5 a month at the lowest. So if this is something of interest to you, then or if you think you know anyone who might be interested, but there's also financial need options. um, but yeah, I created, so I have to film a tour today. But yeah, I have the it's a whole system. But the big things are these cool, so based on work that I've done with Urban Garden, I kind of donated some of my information to HWB so that I could uh, make a cool kind of learning system in here. So there is a bunch of garden planning stuff in here now, a bunch of resources, um, garden design, things on seed banking. So all that. And then here with the learning library that I put together, I listed by letter. And basically, when you click on it, it takes you to a page that's a monograph about the plant, which means it's a breakdown. So it tells you key facts about a plant. So that's what a monograph is. So you put together things like um, where the plant comes from, how it tastes, how it works, um, all the applications for it. So some people have medicinal value, sometimes it's economic value. So it's not something you might take internally, but it might be something used in, everyday life in other ways. Like there's chemicals, like turpentine and things like that. These all come from plants. Guar gum, which is actually used in like in mining and things like that. So sometimes these plants have uses that are outside of us taking them internally, and they're like economic functions. So kind of like a little breakdown of that plant. So yeah, so it has some breakdowns of different plants. Then there's like a printable version, and then a little folder full of academic articles. So these are scientific studies about that plant. So um, I put that together, and what I was working on a lot over the weekend was, so I have collected holistic, so I've collected like basically a glossary. Um, and oh gosh, since like 2015, I started that glossary. So what I did is I took out some of those terms that were specifically related to, because I have everything on there. I have botanical terms, I have ecological, um, things on like house plants and stuff, but also herbal, like anything planty related I have on that list. So I put basically a bunch of the herbal terms all in here. So now there's a glossary on this website. This was never here. So I put that in there, and it's completely searchable. So I thought folks might appreciate that, might be helpful. And then another thing that I put in here was a name index. So this is a global platform. So when I took over this a year ago, um, this was something that I had brought up that I wanted to do, which was kind of have a list of names. So there's scientific names of the plants, because I have a list. I have a list of like 1,300 plants that I've been doing for Urban Garden, which is but it's name, it's where it's from, how it's used. I mean, there's a lot of columns, and it's a project I've been working on for a couple years because one, I want to write a book, and two, this is something that for reference purposes for myself. So what I did is I donated essentially the first two columns of my work uh, to create this herbal index, name index. So uh, a lot of names, as we've discussed, a lot of plants have a lot of common names. So they have their botanical name, but then everybody else has a name for it. And it's not just names in English. So I also added names in different languages. Um, so so like the first one is yarrow. If anyone here knows yarrow, and here are all like the names that you'll find for yarrow. There's many more. I'm going to continue to add to this, but this is a list that I've been putting together for a few years. So this is what I've found so far. Um, so pretty excited that it's up, and so people can search. And so what's great is that sometimes when you read old books, especially, so if you pick up old books, they refer to the plants by these old names. And so it's a great thing where you can plug the name into the glossary or even an old scientific name. So sometimes, like we know with snake plants were Sansevieria. So let's say like the most common snake plant was like Sansevieria trifasciata. Uh, that is no longer. The new name is Dracaena trifasciata. Uh, so, if somebody is reading like that, so that was one goal with the list that I've been building. This specific list is all about herbs. So if that's something that's interesting to you, but my list has like house plants too. But these are all like the herbs. I put a bunch in here, so I'm really hoping that it'll be helpful. I also put things like old scientific names. So if you see the word syn, it means synonym. So if you're ever reading any books about plants, even house plants, and you see it says syn, before another scientific name on the list, that means that it used to be that. So in this case, a little botanical Latin lesson, right? But the but like with we'll continue with this example of snake plants. So now it's Dracaena trifasciata for like the common snake plant, um, but then comma uh, Sin Sansevieria trifasciata. So this was the previous scientific name, but people still are using that name. It usually takes about 10 years for people to finally start using the correct scientific name of a plant once it's been changed. So, um, so you're still going to see tags that say Sansevieria. It's going to be a while before it's like finally really adopted. Uh, but now it's something, so for reference purposes. So I did that basically with a bunch of herbs. So I put that in there. So I'm hoping that the members can find that helpful in their studies, because we have a lot of students, and so I felt like this might be a cool thing. And then the community resources. So this was a lot of fun. I've been playing with a couple things with this. Uh, so this is like a recipe index. So what's cool about this is, so you click on it, um, it takes you to the section, and then there's recipes. So right now there's like 3 recipes for each. So I'm going to continue building them up. But basically, this is how I created it, where if you, let's say you open up the page and you want to make bone broth, here's a recommended recipe. Um, and so what you would be doing is, as you are picking up, garlic, onion, celery, um, you can actually check it off. And then as you're completing the instructions, you moving from step to step, you can go ahead and click them. And then when you refresh, it's blank again. So if you wanted to make the recipe again, um, you could totally do so. And I left it open for comments. So, so that there's a couple different recipes. There's the ingredients and instruction sections. So, oh man, I created this section here for e-guides. So these are all downloadable PDFs. Um, I mean, holy moly, this has been a labor and a half. So this is what's been keeping me busy. These are all community resources. So when you go into here, it's a folder with there's handouts, presentations, ebooks, e-guides. Sometimes there's like flyers, a bunch of like templates. Um, they're all from um, folks that have donated. Uh, so yeah, each of these opens up. So there's well over 1,000 different types of resources. Um, so there's so much. There's so much. And so organizing it. And I'm still going through resources. So there's going to be more being added into here. But yeah, so I finally was able to put this up over the weekend and started onboarding members. And now members can also use the global feed to speak, so to connect with one another. So everyone can talk to each other. There's also groups. So if you want to speak to, folks specifically in your level of membership, so like this is like especially more so for like school members, business members, they really want to collaborate, things like that. Yeah. So this is what I've been working on. This is what's been keeping me up at night for the last couple months. And I finally at least finished this enough where I was able to finally publish it. And so holy moly. But yeah, just a quick thing on yeah, that's what I've been working on. Um so definitely a labor of love. And yeah, now I can focus more on my plants again. I have oh my gosh, I'm so tired. But yeah, my plants have definitely not gotten enough attention these last couple months. Um, so I'm just like, okay, that's off my shoulders. And now it's just like, upkeep. Like I said, there's like a bunch of resources I have to add. Because what I've been doing is I've been organizing them. So a lot of the files were like, when their names, like the file name is like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Um, and so I've been like renaming all the files so that they're easier for people to find because the whole website is searchable. So you can search and find stuff. So I wanted to make sure everything actually has like a name. But again, as I said, there's like 1,000 resources. So that was like something I was doing. I'd put, just I put something on and just be renaming a bunch of files until my fingers literally could not. So I put up everything that I had organized, and the rest I will continue to work on in the background and just keep adding stuff to it. But at least it's the bare minimum is up there. So I was like, I have to release it because I would like a month to kind of see if there's any bugs to play around with it. Um, yeah. Um, gosh. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Yes, yes, thank you. Diana, thank you so much.
Very welcome.
Holly Wild Rose. Um, Wild Rose. Wild Rose? Yes, they're do you mean the Wild Rose College? Um, were you referring to the Wild Rose College? Yeah, they're Canadian. Uh their program coordinator is on our board of directors. Um, and yeah, so she's on our board. And yeah, they've been very helpful, very helpful. And yeah, Wild Rose is amazing. And if you're actually an HWB member, you get a discount to their courses as well. Um, there's like a coupon code and stuff. So, oh, you order products from there. Yeah. Um, yeah, Wild Rose College. They are a school member of Herbalists Without Borders, and their program coordinator is on our board. Yeah. So yes, the Herbal Jedi. Yep. Yeah. So yeah, it's so this is what's been consuming me. So I'm really yeah, Yarrow Willard. Yeah. I love his classes are amazing. I had taken one of his mushroom classes, and I'm trying to remember what other course I took with them. I think I took a seaweed course with them that I actually have to finish. I have not finished that course. I don't know if any of you are ever interested in seaweed. But I thought I love seaweed. I mean, I love to eat seaweed. And I definitely wanted to learn a little bit more about it. So I got a course. But I'm like maybe a quarter through it, so I haven't had the time. I really need to finish that course, but it's wonderful. There's this really amazing book I have. And I'm trying to think of where I put that book. Um, yeah, I don't see it. But it was I think she was Irish, or was she Scottish? Uh, Seaweeds, uh, book, and maybe she was Scottish. I'm trying to think if the person, trying to think of the name of the book. Oh, whoops. Here we go. Yes, because I was like, I know I got this book. Hold on. I'll share my screen so you see what in the world I'm looking at. Um, I have to find this book. But you can see, I love that Amazon reminds you that you purchased this because I've definitely forgotten that I have copies of books. And so I'll go and I'll click on it and I go, oh yeah, I really wanted this book. And then I go, oh yeah, I ordered that like a year ago. I have to read it. I don't know if any of you have experienced this. But yes, this book, um, and it's all these amazing um, pictures. I don't know if they do. I don't think they show a preview. Maybe here. Thank you, Brian. Brian just brought me some caffeine. Much appreciated. But there's amazing images here of these seaweeds. Um, absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Um, it's absolutely beautiful. So I have this book and I have another book and I'm trying to remember if the person was Irish or Scottish. Um, but she um yeah, she was one of like the leading botanists, but that specifically focused on seaweed. And her name completely escaped my brain. It might pop back in a moment, but right now I cannot recall. Um, but yeah, this is a really I recommend this book. I definitely do if you're interested in learning a little bit more about seaweed. I mean, not only are the images absolutely captivating, um, but it's packed. This is packed full of information. Um, it's absolutely beautiful. So yeah, I really need to finish that class. But folks, if you're interested, eventually I would actually love to teach a class on seaweed. I want to get that comfortable with seaweed that I can teach about it. So I like to do walks. I do plant walks. Haven't done one in a while because I've been very busy. So I'm looking forward to throwing myself back into those again. So if anyone is here in New York City, definitely let me know because we can go and hang out, go to a walk. Um, but there's this beautiful wildlife refuge called the Jamaica Bay Wildlife Refuge, and I love doing walks there. But they do get things like seaweed and algae and things washing up, and I really want to get to that point where I can identify that as well, because it's yeah, water plants, not my specialty. So I'd really like to get more into them. Um, and also there is an exhibition actually happening too. So this is another recommendation. And I'd like to go actually with a group. So I might make like an invitation. Um, I might post it first on our Facebook. So if it has to be a Friday. Um, so we have to figure out what upcoming Friday we could go. Um, but it's at the Morgan Library Museum. Um, here we go. And so if this is of interest to anybody, here it is. Seeds of Knowledge, Early Modern Illustrated Herbals. And so the exhibit is only up until January 14th. So it would have to be like a you know, maybe not obviously this Friday, but kind of maybe next week's Friday and up, um, so that we get a chance to actually go and see it. Um, But yeah, if anybody wants to like go in a group, so after 7 p.m. on Fridays, it's free. So the museum is free on Fridays after 7 p.m. So if you're here, it's in Manhattan. It's close to Bryant Park, if I'm remembering correctly. It's been a while since I've gone. But if anybody wants to meet up, we can meet in front of the museum at 7 so that we can all go in and it's free. So so you don't have to pay. And then we can go and check out this exhibit. So I really, really want to go, and I'd love to go with other people that might be actually, like interested in the exhibit. So if this is of interest, I'll do like a post on our Facebook group too. But let me know because I'd love to go with a group. Um, but yeah, these are the illustrated herbals, and so then they have like all of this. So yeah. So there's stuff happening here. Um, these events have all passed, but uh, I'm excited. There's a little bit more on each of the herbals here, so which is super cool. I actually want to see if I can find any ebooks for any of these plants. So in certain websites like archive.org, Gutenberg Press, sometimes they have basically scans of really old books, and these are in public domain, so that you're welcome to download them for free. You don't have to pay for them. So I'm gonna check these against all of those archival records and see if there's any in there, because it would be fun to actually like see what's inside the book. Because of course we're not allowed to touch these on the exhibit. Another really cool thing that I'd like to do with other people too. It might have to be a smaller group, maybe 2 to 3 at a time. Um, but if anybody would ever be interested, there is the New York, I think it's called the medical library. Is it medical school library? I think it's medical library. But basically, they have. I went on a tour like a year ago, and they have basically a whole collection of herbals, and but they let you touch them. So I was able to touch a book that was from the 1500s, and I actually filmed myself going through the pages. um I have to actually edit that video and post that up. I just realized I never did that. I have so much content like that I've never done anything with. Um, but you can make appointments and you can go, and but you're allowed to actually touch the books. So what you do is you make an appointment. They ask you what books you would like to see, and so they are pre-pulled for you and waiting when you show up for your appointment. So when you come into the library and sit down, that's they have your books already set aside on a cart, and so they'll bring them to you. And I think you can stay up to 3 hours, something like that. So looking at the books. So so yeah, so that I want to do more appointments there, because I'd really love to look through all these books and take the time to actually like like record. So they allow you to record and take pictures. So I want to set up like my little tripod. I have a bendy tripod that like looks down, and I want to do basically like a flip through of these really old books. I might wear gloves because I'm really scared of messing up the books. But I think that that would be a lot of fun for folks to to look through these books that are so old, 1500s. There was some books from the 1700s, absolutely gorgeous, and a lot of those were hand drawn. Some of them. They were, I think she has a copy of one of the herbals that was like one of the first commercialized, where they were using plates. So they would basically like etch it. I think it was in metal. They would essentially like carve out kind of like like a printing press, but they'd carve out basically a giant stamp. Um, and so uh, they would, kind of stamp these pages, and then they would hire people to paint them. So their job was to then apply the paint, and then paint them. And then she had another book where it was one of the first that had kind of a color, so that basically the stamp would be colored and then put on the plate. So they had like different herbals. I went for a tour specifically on that. So they were showing us, how it kind of like evolved. Um, but they have more of them. And I'd love to have more time just like with the books. So yeah, if that's of interest, let me know because I'd love to do that. Um, Suzanne, yes, absolutely. I'm always interested in ebooks. Just as I collect physical books, I collect ebooks. So always, if you ever find any on sale, definitely let me know. Hell yeah. Let me know. You can even post it in the group if you want, anything. Um, oh my gosh. Holly says, small world, 100 degrees of separation, right? Um, uh, I also the veterinarian school of herbalism, homegrown herbalist. I buy his products. Uh, yeah, for those of you who might be interested, Matthew Wood, he actually offers free, um, a free class on veterinary herbalism. So it's completely free, absolutely free. So, yeah, if that's I'll share that with everyone. I made a document. Actually, I made a document for HWB. Um, bum, 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 and I'm happy to share that out because I made that. Let me go here. I'll put the link inside of the. Here you go. Share, share. So this should work. Let me know definitely if folks are clicking on it and it's not working. I'm putting it in the chat. I'm clicking just to make sure it's opening up. All right, great. So I made that list. I think it's like 7 pages. I basically went and I scrolled like all throughout Google trying to find free herbal courses, because I wanted to make like a really nice list for folks that might be looking for courses. Maybe they're just starting out and you don't have the funds to like pay for a course. And I was like, oh man, I need to make like a really big list of free courses. So I did. So this was something I was working on for Urban Garden, and then I was like, well, let me make this. I'll design it and make it look nice for for Herbalists Without Borders, so that folks could take advantage of that. But this, I have to finish editing my copy because I'll put it on my website as well. But for folks, since you're here, I'm like, I might as well just give you the other version that I made. So I just popped that in the chat, but definitely check that out. There's courses like that. There's like a free like animal herbalism course. There are mushroom courses. I think one of the small mushroom courses for Wild Rose, I think, is on there, and it's a free mushroom course. Um, yeah, there's a bunch in there. So I hope that those are helpful for folks because it's not just herbalism. There's also things on like botany, first aid, things like that. So hopefully that's. Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, Jackie. I was like, I was about to say, I hope that's helpful. So, um, so you took the word literally out of my mouth. I was like, oh, I hope that's helpful, and you just put so helpful. So I hope it is. So definitely check those out. Like um yeah, yeah, gosh, guys, seriously, I've been working so much. I've been staying up almost every night working until like 4 at the earliest, and a lot of nights I've been working until 6 a.m. And so it's not even a night anymore, it's a morning. And because it's really tedious work, and so then I go to sleep and I have to wake up at like 10:30. It's 10:30, 11 if I can push it a little bit. So I am very, very tired. So, but yeah, I'm hoping that this is gonna bring, value to folks. And yeah, so that's what I've been doing with HWB, as I said, and a lot of resources that I have built up that I kind of donated to HWB are also things that I'm going to be offering on my website as well, uh, but a little bit more expanded. But I definitely wanted to give HWB some stuff so that it makes it a little bit more interactive for members. Um, so I'm hoping that that's going to be, good for folks, like a good user experience. Because what we had was basically you would go and we had webinars and resources. So people could like, check out our resources. But I thought it'd be fun to have actually some other materials. So some like cool things, like cool tools to use. So I was like, let me make something cool. So I'm hoping that that folks like it. So I was like, oh, let me show my students what I did so that yeah, definitely feedback, abs like let me know. Um yeah, because I definitely want to if anything's like not doesn't make sense or anything. Like I'd love, yeah, tell me. Um, but yeah, let me see here. Holly. Oh, I used seaweed sparingly. It's too strong for me. Um, Seaweed is recommended by a Jamaican herbal school. Oh, that's cool. I used one product from Ireland that was gentler, but the Jamaican seaweed is so strong. I live in Chinatown, Chicago, so I get seaweed regularly, but it lasts forever uh, because it takes over the food. Yeah, I mean, I absolutely love seaweed. I love dry seaweed. I love fresh seaweed, like seaweed salad. Oh man, now I'm actually thinking I need to get seaweed salad. Um, but yeah, it's great. I really like salty foods. I like sweet and salty. So seaweed has, oh man, my cousins are Korean. And so my mom's brother, um, he was in the army and he was stationed in Korea for a while where he met his wife. And so we grew up, you know, having Korean food and that's how I learned very young. I was obsessed with seaweed. I would just when my cousins would come over, they would bring um uh like these huge squares of seaweed, and I think they were meant like for sushi wraps or something. It was like these their mom would always bring ingredients over, and the kids would just be eating this, and I tasted it one day and I was like, oh my God, oh, this is so good, and never looked back. So but yes, it can be very strong, right? It will take over the taste. But I would like to learn more again, as I mentioned. So I got that course because I definitely, one, want to learn more about identification, and two is also practicality, right? Like, so what can you use seaweed for? Um, so I will finish that course. I will then be able to relay that information to you. Um, so um, oh yes, and tripods. I never purchased a good tripod. Three of them broke already. Oof. I have had some bad luck with tripods, and the tripods that I bought fairly recently, and um I don't think I added them to my shopping list for like the Amazon shopping list that I made, but there's like two. There's one that shrinks down to like this big, and then it goes to 60 inches. But it's just a straight shot. I love that one. And I have another one that I think goes up to like 54 inches, but at the top it bends. So I'm able to like stand it up and then like turn I can't even remember the name of the word. I'm sorry, the term for it, the name for the part. I can't even remember that. I think I'm just really tired. But but basically, the neck, I guess, it's like a gooseneck, and so it turns like that, so that you can record things that you're doing like on your desk and things like that. And those are great. I'll find the links and I'll send them to you. Um, but those are great. And so far, I've dropped them so many times. They haven't broken. Very durable. They shrink down. The one with the bendy neck, I don't know if that's the gooseneck. I don't even know if I'm using the right term there. It comes with a bag. So it's also really helpful if you want to go places with it. But yeah, Nancy, I have two amaryllis I want to plant in a glass bowl. What would you use for a base? Regular soil. Um, oh yes. So for amaryllis, I mean, you definitely want something with some good drainage. Um, but I have seen folks um grow amaryllis, and I have never grown it with that wax. I don't know if you guys know. Um, let me share this screen just so folks know what in the world. Um, oh yeah, this is that document. It's in the chat. So if you can't find the link, let me know and I'll just repost it. But there's like the amaryllis, they put them in this wax bulb, and I've seen folks just have them growing like this, and I've never grown them like this. Um, so they literally keep them in this wax, and it's like completely soilless, and I've never did this myself. I've never purchased them like this. I've just seen them growing um in, really like well draining substrates. But the wax intrigues me, but it also worries me. So if anyone has ever grown them like in the wax, what was your experience with that? Oh, this is neat. So this is actually, I guess, how to do it. Um, but yeah, I've never thought about covering a plant like that in wax. Um, and so yeah, so I don't know if I don't, I've never grown these specifically, but with the regular amaryllis bulbs, I would say something maybe with like a pot. You can have like a potting soil base, like a regular potting soil base, but I would add maybe like cocoa coir, wood chips, and perlite. So it's a little airy, but it does hold some moisture. Um, and I would say like a terracotta pot so that it will wick moisture away from the bulb. So you don't want that bulb to rot. So that's a big reason why you want some like a well draining mix is you don't want that moisture to stay like on the bulb for too long that could cause it to start to rot. So um but yeah, I just wanted to make mention of these wax amaryllis because I totally remembered this because I've seen them growing without soil. Um, so yeah, there's oh gosh, I don't want no, I don't want this. I don't know. I don't see the X disappeared. So let me stop the share there. It won't let me exit out of that page. Um, but yeah, so I would say like yeah, like a regular potting soil base, and then add some perlite, maybe some cocoa coir, or if you don't find cocoa coir, sometimes it's sold also as like coconut husk as well. So something it kind of adds a little bit of fiber to the mix, and then a little some wood chips also that might be really helpful too. But yeah, so I hope that's helpful. But yeah, the whole wax thing is really interesting. Um, so with that, What else did I want to share with you guys today? Sorry if I'm all over the place. I'm like, I'm this is sleep deprived version of me. Um, oh, in terms of wood chips. Oh, that's a great question. So Nancy asks, what about using wood chips from your garden? So I wouldn't recommend that with your house plants, only because sometimes you might not know what kind of microbes or mold spores could be on those chips. Also, sometimes there are potentially some pests that could hitchhike on wood chips. So I would say to purchase those from the store. You could get like a small bag of orchid bark. Those work really well. So you don't have like to get those big bags. They do sell them in smaller bags. So like a orchid bark, um, like they're wood chips. So I would recommend getting kind of like a small bag of that. Um, yeah, so if you bring in like soil or wood chips from your own garden, so sometimes when you bring them in, now it could either spread like mold, so mold can start to spread to your other plants. Also microbes. Um, so maybe if you even there are plant diseases that are you can expose them just by touching them. So even if you like put the wood chips in so they were on your hands and then you touch another plant, that could actually transfer things. There can be cross contamination. Um, yeah, it's you can even do that with leaves. Like that's how mosaic virus is spread is leaves touching each other. But it can also be transferred by you touching the leaves. So if you touch a plant that has mosaic virus, you touch the leaves, let's say you were just checking it because maybe it's looking weird, right? And you don't know yet that it has mosaic virus, so you think like this is some weird variegation and you touch the leaf and you look at it and then you maybe go to another plant and go let me clean this plant or oh what's this and you went and you touch them. You can end up transferring that virus over to the plant. Um, so it does happen that way too with plants. So I try to remind myself to always, I try to spray my hands between touching like the leaves of the plants if especially if they're looking a little weird. So just in case you don't kind of spread anything. So I wouldn't recommend wood chips, yeah, from the garden. Um, but yeah, I would say get like a little bag of orchid bark. Definitely. Definitely do that. Um, oh, and I actually wanted to also share with you, I'm gonna be taking the opportunity to film a tutorial about this, since I'm doing it. Um, but a few of you may know, so I like to work with beneficial insects as well as other beneficial invertebrates with my houseplants. So I have terrariums. I have been neglecting those. There's like dead plants in some of my terrariums that my bugs, and my invertebrates have been munching on, which is fine. That's the point, is to make like a little ecosystem. But I'm hoping to yeah, to set it up where it's finally good to go. Um, I can focus on that again. Uh, but I have isopods, so I raise colonies of dwarf isopods. So they live in my terrariums, but I also have some of these like mini um, terrariums that I had created and that I had popped like five or six. I did like five or six in one of these, and then I did like 10 in another. And their populations have completely exploded. There are well over 100 in here. You can't really see them right now. This is the big ones, and you can see there's babies next to them. Those little white specks next to them. So the big white blobs are the parents, and then the little ones, but they're everywhere. So they're all throughout here. Right now, they're hiding like under this soil layer. We can obviously see them, but they think they're hiding. But at night, they all come up to the layer on top and I feed them. and there's like well over 100. So I need to start thinning out my colony. I need to start building out smaller colonies. So I'm gonna film that process, but so that if anybody here wants to start their own colony, I'll have a video available to kind of show you how to do that. Oh, this one was just, oh, it was just digging its way through here. Um, but yeah, so there's layers here. There's actually cocoa coir in here. There's peat. There's wood chips. The whole layer on top are oak leaves that are crunched, and so what they do is that they eat the oak leaves. Um, what else is in here? Sphagnum moss is in here. There's also leca in here in the bottom. There's leca. So yeah. These so what do I do with these? They look like rice. Yes. So I raise dwarf isopods and I raise springtails that look very similar. They're also white and kind of long and they look like rice. Um, so what do I do with these? Great question. So these guys are my cleanup crew. So especially when you have a terrarium, you want something to be able to be in there, a kind of a background critter that is doing the work of, they're doing their jobs, which is to eat decomposing materials and to eat mold. So when you have a terrarium set up, it's enclosed, there isn't that much kind of air movement and things like that. And especially if you have a lot of plants that really like humidity, what ends up happening is that you might start to get some molds and things like that because it's breaking down the organic material in your soil, right? In the mix that you've chosen. Or if like a leaf falls to the bottom, it'll start to decompose. And so the springtails and the isopods, they clean that. So um, they eat all the fallen leaves, they eat any mold, and especially with springtails, they outcompete fungus gnats. So they'll eat all the mold, anything that's growing at all, just as it's starting, they'll eat it. So you never see it because they are already taking care of it. And so then what ends up happening is that now there's no food for a fungus gnat, right? So you don't get fungus gnats. Um, so for plants that I have to keep I don't really have any of those plants right now. I used to keep plants that I had to keep wet like all the time. um, so that I could not let them like dry out. And this was a couple of years ago when I first started my colonies. And I learned that if I added these guys to those house plants, they don't hurt your house plants. But instead, you kind of create like a little ecosystem inside that pot. So they're not like, trying to escape your pot. They're like living in your pot. And you kind of kill off the whole fungus gnat problem. So um, it's just one of those ways to mitigate fungus gnats because if the springtails are there, then they're eating that food. So they're out competing any fungus gnats. And so I would much rather have springtails that are completely harmless, don't fly and annoy me, that aren't going to cause and wreak havoc to any of my houseplants. I would rather have these beneficial invertebrates in my houseplants versus things I don't want in my houseplants. So that's what initially got me into them when I started my colonies, was for that. Then I started with bioactive terrariums. So for instance, right now I have my geckos. I have yellow-headed geckos, and I have them in a terrarium. And so they have their cleanup crew in there. And it's a bioactive terrarium, which means that I set it up so that it's an ecosystem. So it's like a living system. And so the same with we have a large tree frog, a white Australian white's tree frog, Eddie. He's like this big. And he lives in a terrarium. We're actually upgrading his terrarium because he's outgrown his. So that's a whole other project. I'm hoping maybe like in January. But I have to upgrade that right now he kind of hides in his log throughout the day. They're nocturnal. Um, so he doesn't really mind if, the cage is a lot, it's not as spacey anymore because he's getting so big. Um, but I do definitely want to give him like a nicer, bigger setup. So yeah, I have a terrarium that I just have to fix up for him. And so that's also going to be bioactive. And then our leopard gecko, we have our leopard gecko. She is, gosh, she's like 13 or 14 years old. And she is living in a bioactive setup. And so she has one section that has, you can do this with your plants. And what's cool is you can, if you're interested in animals too, so you could have pets and plants in your terrarium. So if you have like a really cool terrarium setup, you can put like dart frogs in there, or you could put mini geckos, like miniature geckos. So I have, I forgot what they call them. I think they call them micro geckos, like in the hobby. But I have two of yellow-headed geckos, and they only are this big. So they are adults. I've had them for years, and they're literally this long, and that's it. They don't grow anymore. Um, so yeah, you can add that like to your terrariums, and so they'll eat any insects, anything like that. So it's cool. You can make it really interactive. So I really like kind of having these setups with it's little environments. And my tarantula is also in a bioactive terrarium as well. Yeah, yeah. So I have a couple terrariums, um, but I'm hoping to yeah, they've fallen into disarray. A lot of the plants either like dried out or they've died back. So I need to get like a fresh new, I need to kind of do little renovations on my terrariums because I've definitely been neglecting them. Um, um, Oh yeah, yeah. Yes. Well, I am planning to make so Holly says, "Oh, do a Oprah Winfrey. You get isopods and you get isopods." Yeah, I mean, so I bought a bunch of little terrariums, like little boxes. They're like like these these little ones. So I bought like I think like a 24 pack. So I'm gonna be splitting them up. And I have a few that I'm giving away to friends, and then a few that I'm actually gonna put up for sale. Um, but yeah, I would like to, once I can, and a couple that I'm keeping. So I'm gonna set up like another two that I'm gonna keep. Um, because yeah, I have a lot of isopods. Right now, it's way too cold to ship them, but yeah, I could eventually, I could definitely grow them up to that point where I could, offer them up like that for folks. Yeah. Um, are isopods good for all plants? So they're technically, so this is very technically, right? Very technical. So they're not harmful to your plants. They will, if you have like a terrarium, if part of your plant is rotting, or like a leaf were to fall, that's their job. They're decomposers. So they're going to eat anything that's decomposing. So if you have, let's say, a terrarium and your plant has root rot, they're gonna eat your plant because your plant is on its way out. They will not eat a healthy plant. Um, you know, so you just have to make sure you also provide food too to them. So if so that they have supplemental stuff. So I mean, if you have organic material on the ground, especially if you put leaf litter, you put like dried leaves, they're focused on that. So they're not worrying about your plants. But the only thing is that they need to be kept in an environment which is not necessarily always humid, but more so that there's always moisture in the soil. So I wouldn't you like they wouldn't survive very well, at least not these types of isopods, like these dwarf isopods. they might not work if you have a setup or a plant, let's say, that stays relatively dry. So if, let's say, you only water your plant once a month, or you have a terrarium where it's all desert plants, these would definitely not survive. They need moisture. So the reason it looks so dark is because I have to add spring water, not enough where there's like water at the bottom, but just enough where it really, like, all that sphagnum moss soaks it up, um, so that it's always in a state of moisture. So they're great for plants that have to stay moist all the time. So there are some plants that need that, especially plants like papyrus, for instance. Um, I mean, I'm trying to think, like peace lily, they might be okay in peace lilies because usually those are watered about once a week, and so I give these guys water about once a week. So so that's fine. But if a plant that you have that is gonna completely dry out, like it's gonna get bone dry, they wouldn't do well in that. Um, they definitely wouldn't. They need that extra moisture. Um, so, but if you are planning to do like terrariums or things like that where you are gonna keep it adequately moist, um, then yeah, they'll totally grow for you in there. And you could start, yeah, you could start your own colonies. But I do that with springtails too. So springtails, they really focus in on any fungus whatsoever. They'll go after it. But they'll also eat anything else. And what's great is when you have with animals, they eat basically all of the animals so when it goes uh like everything yeah, basically it's like a complete cleanup. So even your plant, your pet is eating leftover food, is eaten, and also, yeah, if it's and every time it goes to the bathroom, they eat that too. So they clean up. They literally are a cleanup crew. So if you ever look up like cleanup crew for like bioactive terrariums, if you're ever researching, you literally just have to call it a cleanup crew. And you will see that there's so much information. So there's also different types of isopods. So there are isopods, for instance, that would live in more arid environments. So if you were setting up something that isn't going to be, is going to completely dry out, there are isopods that are built for that type of environment. And so they're sold like that. Um, so there's different choices. These specifically, I have dwarf white isopods. So this specific species, they need a little bit more moisture. Um, but they're a lot of fun to grow. And the same with my springtails. Those I actually my colony, I literally grow them on horticultural charcoal. So it's just a plastic container with horticultural charcoal, and I just feed them. I feed them a mix of nutritional yeast and fish flakes, like goldfish flakes. So it's a mix of nutritional yeast with goldfish flakes. And I literally just open it up, put it in there, make sure that there's water at the bottom, and that's all I have to do. So they're wonderful. Um, Holly says, I remember that I just want springtails. I need something that kills the little flying bugs, the ones that follow the light. Yeah, so the fungus gnats. So the springtails won't kill fungus gnats, but they will outcompete them. So it means that they essentially won't let them thrive. So if they're eating all the food before your fungus gnats can, then the fungus gnat is like, okay, there's no food. So one, they die. But then two, they won't lay their eggs in the plant because there's no food. So it's not a viable option for them to lay their eggs because there's literally no food. Yes, since I second you doing a video tour. Oh, Nancy, there we go. A tour of your apartment. Yeah, yeah. Like I said, I have so much upkeep to do, so a lot of my plants aren't looking too great. So I have to do like a big overhaul. So I have to like prune back a lot of plants. I have some monstera that have gotten kind of out of hand. I need to trim those back. Um, my some of my dragon fruit, I have to trim that back. Um, yeah. So yeah, the whole house needs to a nice a nice overhaul and yeah, I would love to. Yes, I would definitely like to do a tour just to show everyone. Um, 'Cause yeah, uh yes, exactly. Yes, and do the work on the plants. Yes, yes, and record it. Record the process of pruning things back. Um, yeah. So I think I'll definitely record parts of the process so that folks can see like what happens when you kind of neglect your plants for a little bit. What kind of rehab and care do you have to do? Yeah. Adeline, what's the difference between watering and sunlight between the Thanksgiving and Christmas cacti? That's a great question. Actually, there really isn't any difference. So they're both Schlumbergias. I think it's one is Schlumbergia bergii and the other one is Schlumbergia. Latin name escaped my brain, but they're both Schlumbergia. So they're cousins basically. So they have very similar it's a similar watering and sunlight uh preferences. So both of these are rainforest cacti and it's the same with also the Easter cactus. Now, Easter cactus is has been placed in a different family. I think it's now is it something ripsalis, pseudo ripsalis. I don't think it's pseudo ripsalis or ripsaliformis, but it did get it used to be Schlumbergia, and then it got all my botanical Latin has been going out of my brain today. I'm like I can't pull my botanical Latin out. Um, but they that Easter cactus was a Schlumbergia, like these other two, was categorized as such. And then they learned that it's still related, but it's in a different genus now. So it's no longer Schlumbergia. But all three of them are rainforest cacti. They're epiphytic cacti, and they all have like pretty similar care. So you want to these guys, while they do want to dry out, they don't want to be dry for long periods of time. So you might end up having to water them um like during the winter, maybe about every like 10 to 14 days. They might need a good soak and then you can kind of forget about them. During the summer, depending on how hot your apartment gets and how much sunlight they're getting, you might end up watering them like once a week. But yeah, I have mine pulled away from a western window, and I water them about every 2 weeks. And so they're pulled away. So if they're right up against either a southern or a western window, what ends up happening is they will start to kind of look a little red. Or I've seen it get really bad where they almost turn yellow. And so basically they're getting sun stressed. So if that is happening, then you definitely have to pull them away from the sunlight so they can start to turn green again. Some people like when it gets a little pink along the edges, and that's okay along the edges. But if your whole plant starts to turn uh like red or orange, that means it's blushing. And so blushing is a response to really strong sunlight where the plant is releasing anthocyanins. So it's releasing a chemical that works as a sunblock because it's trying to protect itself from burning. So a lot of people mistake this as like, oh, it's looking so pretty. It's like your plant is really stressed out right now. It's one thing where it gets like a little bit of a twinge of color, which looks really nice. But if it starts to really look like that, you got to pull it away from that lighting situation and it'll start to turn green again. So it's not like, oh my God, my plant is done. so it's not done. It'll start to turn back to green again. So don't worry about that. So they prefer bright indirect light. So an eastern window is great if you do want to keep them like right up there. A northern window, it might be a little too gentle for them. Um, but yeah, like a pulled away from a western or southern window is okay. They want some protection from the light, because in the wild they're usually growing in the trees, and the tree canopy is kind of filtering out that light, so it's not hitting them directly, so they kind of react to really strong light. And yeah, they make great plants. They really are really great plants. So with the Christmas and Thanksgiving cacti, it's almost exactly the same care, basically. Like now with Thanksgiving and Christmas cacti, both of them react to for blooming purposes, is getting them what's it called, to be in darkness. Um, if they start to get about 16 hours of darkness per day, so because the amount of sunlight is lessening. So if they're having longer periods of darkness, and if the temperature is kept like between like 68 and 70s, it's kind of a little cool, and it's kind of kept at that rate, they'll start producing flowers for you. So um they're great. If you can keep that, if you can keep that. And once you do get flowers, and I know I've mentioned this in other classes, but once you get flowers on them, don't move them. So this has been a big thing I've had. I'm a houseplant consultant, and I've had so many clients do this, where their plant will finally bloom, and then they move it because, let's say, they have it in their bedroom and it's blooming. And so they're like, oh, I'm going to move it to the living room because I want everyone to see it. or or I'm gonna move it into my office, so I can look at the flowers. And then all of a sudden, all the flowers start dropping. And so once they bloom, uh, you do not want to move your Christmas, Thanksgiving, or even your Easter cactus. Easter cactus, they get triggered by longer periods of light, so it's like the opposite. Um, but with Thanksgiving and Christmas, you just don't want to move them, because if you move them, now their light exposure is different and the temperature is different. So if if it starts to get a little bit too warm in that other room, for instance, they will just drop their flowers just automatically. So I've had that happen to a couple of clients, and so I'm like, no, just don't. If your plant is blooming, it's happy where it is. Just leave it where it is. Because yeah, it'll take a nosedive, quite literally. um, it won't work. It won't work, unfortunately. Um, yeah. Oh man, no, 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 no. Um, yeah, I don't recommend moving them. I mean, but there's so many different rainforest cacti. Like I have a couple here, even behind me. But like, you could get a bunch of rainforest cacti. I love rainforest cacti. Ep like epiphytic cacti, I love them. I love them so much. Um, so I have quite a bit. Um, but like this is an orchid cactus that I recently got. Home Depot is selling these, and I saw it and I thought it was so beautiful. Um, because it just has these really interesting curves like to the leaves. So here, okay, this whole part here, like that looks so weird. What I thought that looked so weird and so cool. Um, so see how they kind of they grow in these segments. So they'll create. So these are actually modified flattened stems. So they aren't true leaves. So this isn't a leaf. It looks like a leaf, and we refer to them as leaves, but they really aren't true leaves. They are flattened, modified stems that are able to photosynthesize. And so, yeah. And then they have the ability to also have, a lot of these rainforest cacti. They have the ability to create these aerial roots, like let's say like Monstera, right? Like similar, it's like they work like that. Like they create these aerial roots to stick themselves. So just like Monstera would or pothos growing on trees, so does this cactus. And they'll just grow all up on the tree, and it looks super cool. Um, I had a lot of fun in Costa Rica seeing them growing like that on the trees, just like it's wild. It's really fun to see because they will literally just start taking over it. Holly asks, have you researched the difference in seaweed across the globe because the properties are not exactly the same? Oh no, I haven't. Yeah, no, of course they definitely wouldn't have the same properties, just like different plants have different properties. Yes, there's so many different types of seaweeds. I'm trying to remember the one nori, um, but I don't think I think that might just mean seaweed. But I'm trying to think. I don't know the type of seaweed that I'm always eating. I don't even know the scientific name of that. So that's where I'm at with that. Is that's where I would love to learn more. So definitely, I would love to learn. Yeah, because they definitely would have different properties. Uh, they probably also there's so many plants that would grow completely seaweeds that would grow in different environments as well. Um, and there's also like freshwater, well, there's seaweed that grows in brackish water, which is a mix of fresh water and salt water, and then the ones that grow in just the ocean. And then I know that there's like algae. I don't think it's not seaweed, but I know there's like algae that look like seaweed that are growing in freshwater, that look literally like seaweed. So, um, yeah, that is something I want to learn more about. Um, I really like aquascaping. So that's when people plant um like fish tanks and they have like a bunch of different types of plants. So that's something that's on our list to do. So Brian and I, we have quite a couple empty tanks. Um, we recently got some goldfish, but goldfish would eat all the plants, so we wouldn't do that for them. We wouldn't set that up for them because they would just eat it. Um, but yeah, I definitely want to get like a planted. I want to set up a tank and have it fully planted with underwater plants and shrimp. So I'd love to get shrimp. There's a local pet supply store by us that they are now carrying like these little freshwater shrimp, but they're all different colors, and they're so beautiful. And both Brian and I were like, maybe we'll finally do it this spring. Is get that tank set up, get it maybe with like some tetras or some other types of fish, and then throw some shrimp in there with some underwater plants, and then it's an excuse to learn more about some underwater plants. So um yeah, and I'd love to film that, and also um yeah. um oh, Terry asks, not even turning it a bit. Oh, in terms of the Christmas cacti. um that's a great question. Like, what about rotating your plant if it's in bloom? um you could rotate it slightly, sure. Especially if your plant is used to you rotating it. Now, if you've never rotated your plant, that's a different story. So some folks, sometimes you'll have a plant that's, let's say, against your window, and you never rotate it. It's just that's the direction it's always been. And so what happens is that if you were to rotate it, it can kind of cause, if let's say if you've never rotated it, um it'd have to be in like smaller degrees. um if you completely turn it, let's say your plant was leaning this way, and so you turn it so that it'll start to kind of right itself up. What ends up happening is that you interrupt like its photosynthesis, kind of processes, it it has to shift uh like hormonally. There's this thing called auxin, and it's AXIN, or is it AU? I think it's AUXIN. So it kind of has to shift that, because that is what helps the plant like basically move towards the light. It's like how it helps the plant tissue kind of move and stretch and turn. Um, and so there's like a little delay while that's kind of shifted. And so I would be nervous if, let's say, you never rotated your plant before and then it blooms and you, well, I want to rotate it, that it might lose a couple of those flowers. Now, if the plant is used to being rotated, I think it would be fine. Um, and also if it's a smaller rotation, I think it'd be totally fine. But I wouldn't recommend like a complete, like a 180. So like if you have your plant, let's say, growing this way and it's starting to bloom, I would never recommend to just do this to it. Um, so it's always a quarter, like a quarter turn. That's the usual. So you want to turn it from here to like that. At the most. So that the surface area that was already exposed to the sunlight is still exposed, just a slight variation. And then, when you turn it again, now it's like, okay, turning it again, and it's like a quarter turn. But I would never take your plant. Let's say it's looking like this at the window. Don't do like a complete 180 and turn it around to the opposite side. So it's always like a quarter. So it's kind of like you're making the plant kind of move like a clock, essentially. So that's what you want to do. Oh, Terry, I obsessively rotate my plants. Yes, yes, that's totally fine. Totally fine. Um, at Holly, yes, imagine putting that shrimp tank in a southern window and getting shrimp chowder. Well, these shrimp are definitely super tiny, but yes, that's hilarious. Yeah. Oh, Marion, that's a great question. Have you heard of nutmeg being poisonous in large amounts? Yes. So nutmeg, um, that's a very interesting one. And so with nutmeg, so usually folks know of nutmeg is, you kind of shave um this little it looks like a little nut essentially, and you can kind of like shave it back, and this is something that's added to like desserts and stuff. But if you actually have like a teaspoonful, this can actually what's it called? Can cause hallucinations, but not in a good way. Some people might go, hell yeah, I want I want hallucinations. But what nutmeg, if people have them, let's say in even a teaspoon, so a teaspoon of like full-fledged powdered nutmeg, can make someone go into hallucinations, but it will also cause you headache and nausea, and if not, vomiting. So the person would it's like you have food poisoning and you're seeing things as you are purging. So it's not something, you want people to do. But if they have more than that, so more than a teaspoon, so I think there's like a range of like 3 teaspoons or something like that, or is it 3 tablespoons? But basically, you don't even want to do a teaspoon of nutmeg like that, like straight like that, because that can make you violently sick. So having more of it can definitely send you to the hospital. And if you have any, uh, like if you're predisposed to certain other types of conditions as well, like if you have any heart issues or gastrointestinal issues, liver issues, it could definitely cause like toxicity of the liver. It can really hurt you. So so nutmeg in large amounts, avoid that. The most you want to do with nutmeg is like, a pinch, and sprinkle it over, if you're making cookies or if you're making like cocoa or some type of drink. That's like really the most you want to use of nutmeg. You do not want to use more than that. Yeah, very, very, very dangerous. Nutmeg is really neat because it's like we're using two parts of nutmeg. So it looks almost like a walnut, and when you open it, it has this like red outer covering called that is called mace, and that's actually removed and dried, and it's very pungent. It really packs a zing, so it's used as a spice, a kitchen spice, and it's called mace. And then there's the nut that it's kind of protecting, and then that's the nutmeg, which is very fragrant and has like that sweet, it's very fall winter-esque kind of aroma. And so that is something you start to see a lot during the holidays. But yeah, in large amounts it's definitely toxic. So even a large amount is considered a teaspoon. So so be very careful. Be very, very mindful of that. Um, oh yeah, that does not sound like a good time. You would get very, very sick. Jamie, my Christmas cactus looks the same all around. When I bottom water, I take it to the sink, and then I don't know exactly how it faced when I return it to the window. Ooh, great question. Great comment, I mean. But yes, so you know, that's that's great. It's if it's growing very well all around, it sounds like it is getting a really nice kind of balanced amount of sunlight. So Christmas cacti especially, they will tend to get sparse if it's not getting enough light like on one side. So let's say it's sometimes this really has to do with also the placement. So if you have your plant in a way where it's getting like a lot of light from the top, this really helps it grow very evenly. But if you have it, let's say on a like on a windowsill that's either covered, or it's really access to what kind of light are you getting. If you're getting very directional light, so the light is only really coming like from here, this is when like rotating is really necessary because otherwise this will never really get light because it's always hitting like this. It's not it's not really going as far as this because as you can see, this one is very odd. It's kind of growing in this way, but I think it's because there's multiple plants in here. So I think like it's one, two, three, four. There might be at least four plants. I feel like this might be connected, but I'm not really sure. But there's multiple plants in here. Um, and they're growing really wacky. But if your plant is looking really full, like all around, it means you have really great light. That's not always the case. That's not always the case. Yeah. Um, oh, Holly, nutmeg is strong. It ruins the taste of the dish whenever it's overused, but it's used in savory dishes. And I suppose it can be medicinal. My father was a real fan of nutmeg. I inherited several jars from him. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, it's definitely, yeah, it's also used in other types of cooking. Um, I have like a little nutmeg. I like nutmeg. I like to add it like a sprinkle, like if I'm making cocoa and then I put like whipped cream and then I put like a little nutmeg on there. So I have a nutmeg grinder? Nutmeg? I don't think that's the word. Is that the word for it? I forgot what a shaver? Maybe it's a shaver. It's so basically it's this little white thing and you put the nutmeg, there's a little compartment for your nutmeg. And when you're ready to use it, you take it out, you take out your nutmeg and you kind of grate it. Grate it. There you go. I think it's a grater. And you kind of do that and you can put it on your dessert or in your dish. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Um, Adeline, if you get a new small Christmas cactus, will it take a few years to grow more mature and then flower? Um, Small Christmas cacti will totally flower for you. So they can still flower even when they're small. Like if you because a lot of these are cuttings from mature plants. And so they will now if you were starting them from seed or if someone was growing them and they're very like young plants, maybe not. But the ones you're getting from the stores, usually these are cuttings from older plants. So these even if your Christmas cacti is like little and just has like a couple sprigs, it will still flower for you. it should totally still flower for you. It will take a couple years to really fill out, but it can very much has the ability to flower for you. Jamie, I have totally given up privacy for my plants. I took down all the living the living room window coverings. Yeah, I totally feel you there. In our bedroom, we had those blinds that you pull, like where they go up and down. I forgot what they're called. But the blinds. And I installed these like shelves. They're removable. They're very easy. They're not bolted in at all. Like you could, if there's an emergency, you just pull and it comes right off. Um, but I installed these like shelves so that I could put plants on them. Um, and so now we can't lower that blind. So instead we just have to put like the curtain down. And so I've totally given up that level of privacy that we used to have um for plant real estate. Um so I feel you there. And the same with all the yeah, the like I don't have any film or anything like on our windows like the privacy screens. We do have a privacy screen for the window that's near our bed. Uh, it, we do have like it's a really pretty like rainbow kind of window cling that kind of just so that folks can't look in. But it's enough light for what I have in that window. So I have a bunch of like succulent propagations and they're happy in that window. And that's a southeast window. So it's good because it also filters out that really strong light. So they don't mind. The plants don't mind. Um, but yeah, it's you find yourself like removing privacy film, removing blinds or curtains for your plants. That totally happens. The more the more you start to collect, it's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? But yeah, yeah. Oh, Holly says for nutmeg. I use it in pies and milk drinks, coffee, a lot of stuff the same way that folks use cinnamon, cardamom, cloves, anise, and other yeah, and other hard herbs. They are all medicinal too. Yep, exactly. They're part of that, those aromatic herbs. Gosh, I during the winter especially for folks that for like coughs and sore throats. I like doing a mix of cinnamon, cloves, and star anise. Or they also call it star anise, but star anise, um, cloves, and cinnamon. I make a decoction. So basically, you put water to boil. You add your cinnamon, your cloves, just a couple. It packs a lot of punch. So I put like one stick of cinnamon, just a couple cloves, like 3 or 4 cloves, and then like 2 pieces of star anise, put it in there, and I let that boil at like a simmer kind of for like 30 minutes to 40 minutes, and it starts to get like a really rich brown, a really strong extract, and drink that, and that is so good. If especially if you have chest congestion, if your throat is really bothering you, the cloves really help kind of numb it out. Cloves also stimulate your salivary glands. So if you have a very dry cough, like your throat just feels like you're not making any saliva, right? It's like super dry. You're like, oh my God. Um, Cloves are really good for that. So they numb you out, it'll bring more moisture into your mouth and your throat because it's stimulating you to salivate more. Um, and then the cinnamon is great, also nice to heat it up as well as the star anise. So those three make a really delicious tea. Seriously, really, really delicious. Very helpful, especially this time of year when it's getting cold. But yeah, yeah. Oh man. Thanks so much for everyone. Sorry if I was a little all over the place. I I know I've said it a few times, but I know I'm very tired. So, um, but I hope that this was informative, and I hope you had some fun. Um, I really just like hopping on with everyone every Monday. It's a really great way to start. I'm not sure yet about class on the 25th because this year I believe that Christmas falls on a Monday. So I will let everyone know beforehand if so I guess I'll let everyone know next week if I am indeed. I might do the class. I mean it's in the morning, so I might do it. So if anybody wants to hop on for Christmas, I'm not really sure, but I will let you know. But yes, and Holly, yes, I will send you the tripod info. Yes, since go take yeah, now go get a nap. Yeah. Um, yeah, oh man. No, I literally I worked and I saw the sun coming up and I was like, oh my gosh. But I have a bunch, yeah, it's a week of meetings this week, so it's I'll finally get to rest next week. So I'm like just trying to I'll push through. I'll push through this week. But thank you so much. And I seriously appreciate all of you and thank you so much for hopping on. Thank you for your questions. And definitely, yeah, reach out. I'll post that link. Um, yeah, about free resources too. I'll post it in the group so that if folks want to access that. And yeah, oh yes, and do a study on seaweed ASAP. Yes, yes, that is something I really want to do. I have that course. I have a couple books, so that is something where I got interested in seaweed for a little bit, but I haven't been able to like sit down and really. That's a sad thing is I haven't really been able to sit down and just like learn like really like be a student. I miss that because that's yeah. So I'm looking forward to doing that again this upcoming year. Um, I might be teaching for the University of New Mexico. That's something that's currently in the works. So I need to actually do some proposals. So before January. I don't know. I don't have any time. But I have to send them some proposals. And if they like them, then I would start teaching for them. Um, I can set my own schedule. So uh, yeah, hopefully. And then I'd be teaching, I think, for their spring semesters. I don't know if that's like end of February or March, something like that. So it gives me some time to like build up the actual class. So I just need to like have the proposals and stuff done in the next few weeks. So I will share those with you too, so that you see if you tell me if it's if you would take this if you're a university student. But yeah, so hopefully I'll find a smidge of time to do that. But yeah. But thanks so much, everyone. Seriously, and yeah, synth. Yep, see the sun come up. Yeah, yep. Oh yes, definitely harder. But oh man, thank you so much. Seriously, everyone. So much love to all of you. I seriously, I love it so much. Connecting with you, seeing your names, recognizing so many of you. So thank you so much for hopping on and enjoy the rest of your Monday. I hope you guys have a really great week. So enjoy it. If for those of you who are in areas that are getting super cold, like stay warm and definitely stay safe. And yeah, I'll see you next week. Thank you, everyone. Bye for now.